Having finished our spine, neck and head and eyes, arms, hands, for both the left and right hand side, now we're going to move on to the legs. And the legs we're going to be making are IK, FK legs. So they'll have IK, and we can switch over to FK. They'll also have twist, sort of optional kind of thing to do. And that will set up in very much the same way as we did the arm, with twist bones and then multiple proxies. We'll set up our parameter pane, which will have display for the geometry, the bones, and the controls. And then we'll have our left leg parameters section here. And then what we'll do is in the next video, we'll go on and we'll do the foot, which will have a reverse foot setup with some controls here. And then we'll mirror that over to the right-hand side. To start our left leg, I've gone ahead and in the parameter pane, I've started our parameters for the left leg. So I've created a folder of type tab called left leg. Then I duplicated the geo, bone, and control display from the left arm, and then renamed them to left leg G display, left leg B display, left leg C display. And then I added an actions, left leg, and left foot folders, all of type simple. So we can hit accept there. And then I've gone through and I've turned off the proxy geometry for the spine, the head and neck, left and right arm. And then I've turned on the display of this original soldier body that we had, where we were making all of our groups for our proxy. And then, because I know where these bones are going to end up, I've gone through and I've made groups. You can see for all of the twist bones, and then for the foot and the toes. So I can spare you watching me do that. So then I can go up here and just display his whole body. And now we're set to draw the leg bones. So to start that, I'm going to go into the front view, space 3. You can toggle between back and front. Space 1 will bring you back to perspective. So space 3 in the front view, I'm going to go into the bones tool and the chain name, capital L underscore lowercase leg. And then no kinematics, and the placement method will be view-based. So I'm going to draw one bone that I'm then going to split using the bones tool. I'm not going to use our split bone tool, just going to use the built-in split that the bone tool has. So to start, I can place the first bone about where the leg should rotate from. So yeah, about here. And then while I'm still in the bones tool in this front viewport, I'm going to say space 4. That's going to switch me over to the right viewport. But I'm still in the bones tool. So then I'm going to come down here to the ankle, I think right about here. So I've only clicked and made one bone, but now I can right click, finish drawing, and then still in the bones tool, if you look down in the status bar, you can see that control left click will split the bone. So I'm going to hold control and just left click on this bone. So you can see that it split it right in half, and now I have two bones. Now I can escape out. So now with these two bones, I'm going to select this first bone, go into the rotate tool. I'm going to rotate it out right about there, I think. And I think its length is good. And then the lower bone, I'm going to rotate that back right to about there. So doing this, I've set the bend in the leg, but I've maintained the plane. So now I can select both of these and say clean transform. That'll set their rotates back to 0. Now with these two bones, I'm going to rename leg bone 1 to leg bone underscore 1, leg bone 2 to leg bone underscore 2. Give myself a little room here. And take the number off the root. And now we might as well make our twist bones right away here. So I'm going to select leg bone 1. And then with our split bone tool, I'm going to hold shift and click. It's going to ask me for a split prefix. So we want this to be twist. And how many bones do I want? I want 4 bones. So there we go. I'll do the same for leg bone 2. Select it, shift click on split bone, twist for our prefix, 4 bones, and there we go. Having made the twist bones, I went ahead and made the proxy geometry for each of the twist bones. And again, simply create a geometry object. I gave it a name like left underscore upper leg 1 proxy, 2 proxy, 3 proxy, etc. Then inside, using that object merge to go to my soldier body and then pick out that particular group for whichever proxy it was, and then a null called out, and I locked it. So I did that for all of these guys. Now we can move on with our FK controls. For our FK controls, we're going to do the same thing that we did to our arm. I'm going to select this left leg bone 1. I'm going to control click on our FK control shelf tool. It's going to ask us for a prefix. Left leg bone 1 is fine. I'm going to hit OK. And now it made our 3 nulls. So we have left leg bone 1 offset, left leg bone 1 auto, left leg bone 1 control. And you probably won't be able to see it because it's very, very tiny. If you'll remember, when we were making our finger controls, I think we went in and edited the control size to be 0.1. So that's why they're very small. But we can go in and go to our uniform scale and our display in the miscellaneous tab, bring that back up to something a little more reasonable. Let's try 0.75. And then we're going to take this offset and we're going to parent it to the left leg root. So now, after we've constrained this left leg root into the rest of our hierarchy, wherever this left leg root goes, our control will go. So we'll do the same for the lower leg. We'll select the bone, control click on the FK control. Left leg bone 2 is a good prefix. Hit OK. We get our 3 controls. And again, this one we'll put at maybe 6. And this one is going to be a child of the left leg bone. So when we rotate this bone, it will bring that control with it. And now we want to drive the left leg bone 1 and left leg bone 2 with their respective FK controls. So to do that, I'm going to select, go into my constraints, and I want to blend. I want to do a simple blend, just rotation, and keep position after. So it's asking us to select the object to create the blend constraint. So that will be the bone. Right click accept. And then the target is the control itself. Drops us into that network, go up. And now when we select this control object, go into the rotate tool, now it's rotating that whole hierarchy. So we'll do the same for lower leg. Blend, simple, just rotation, keep position after, select the constraint object, right click and accept, select the target. There we go. Now this one. Perfect. To apply IK to our leg, we're going to go back into the bones tool. We're going to select IK with twist effector. Then we're going to right click just in empty space and say add kinematics. Then the prompt in the status bar will say select the first bone of the bone chain. So that's leg bone 1. Accept selection. Now it says select the last bone of the bone chain. That's leg bone 2. Accept selection. So like with the arm, we have 2 new nodes. We have a leg bone goal, it's that guy down there. And we have a leg bone twist, which is here at the knee. I'm going to hit escape to get out of the bones tool. I'm going to select this twist bone, and I'm going to translate it straight out to something like that. You can see that it has this orientation that it's inheriting from these bones. So I'm going to extract its pre-transform. I'm going to leave its translate alone, but I'm going to control right click on its rotate parameter to zero that out. You'll notice that if I try and translate this, this is supposed to drive the twist of this leg. But if I do it now, nothing happens. And you might remember that this exact same thing happened with our arm. And the reason that nothing happened is that even though our leg bone has a kinematic solver, and the kinematic solver was placed in the chop network called kin chops, and that's the same place that our arm and our spine chop live. So even though this kinematic solver exists and is active, these bones have a constraint on them that is also active. So this is preventing the IK from working. So we have to blend back and forth, just as we did with the arm. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to that chop network. can see our left leg bone 1. We have an end effector, twist effector, but here we have a blend. So just like we did with our arm, we have this left arm FKIK blend parameter here. I'm going to steal that. So we need to add that to our leg. So we're going to add a float right there. So left leg IK FK blend. So now we have this blend parameter. We hit accept. We go and get our parameters here. We go to our left leg. So now you can see we have this left leg FKIK blend. It's currently at 0. We actually want that to be a default of 1. So go down and find that guy. Go to its channels tab. Change its default to 1. Accept. So now it's at 1. Oh, better change its range as well. So instead of a range of 0 to 10, I have a 0 to 1. Might as well lock those. So now we have this parameter going from 0 to 1 with a default of 1. We have our inverse kinematic chop blend at 1. So now we can just grab that, drag it on relative reference. So now if you watch this value, we can blend that on and off with this top level control. So at the same time, we want, if this is a 1, then we want our constraints to be 0 and vice versa. So we can come back up, go over to our left leg upper bone into its constraint, and we did a slightly more complex parent constraint for our arm, but a simple blend will do here for the legs. So we're going to take this left leg FKIK blend, which is a default of 1, drag and drop it into here, relative channel reference. So now this parameter is at 1 and this blend is at 1, but we actually want it to be 0. So I can say 1 minus, now it's at 0. And if I turn this down to 0, this goes up to 1. So now this is blending on and off. So we can take this same parameter, we can go to our lower leg and drop that in there as well. There we go. So we have our IK control, the left leg bone goal. We can move that around. Leg is moving correctly, but we don't want to use just this goal to control the leg. So we're going to make a control for it. First, we're going to rename leg bone goal, take off the 1. Same with the twist. So with this leg bone goal selected, we'll control click on our FK control. Leg bone, left leg, let's call that IK. We get our nulls again, and we can take our goal, turn off its selectability and its visibility, and for now, we'll parent it to the left leg IK control, which is, again, a little circle, but we can go through and make it a little bit bigger, make it a box. So now we can select that guy and unlock its translate and lock its rotate. There we go. So this left leg IK offset, it needs a parent, and we're going to parent it to the master control. So I'll come back here, master display on. That's this big guy here. So we'll take that left leg IK offset and parent it right to the master. So now if we grab that. And for our twist control, we're also going to make a control object. So again, control, click on our FK control. I'm going to call that left leg twist. Bring that up. Again, turn off the selectability and display of the left leg bone twist. Parent that right underneath the left leg twist control, which again has been the default in the script, makes it into this little circle. So we'll unlock its translate, lock its rotate, change it to a box. Now the parent of this left leg twist offset we want to be able to switch the space in which this left leg twist control is parented. Some people prefer that when you move the IK for the leg, that this twist object doesn't move. Other people prefer that it would move with the ankle, and some people like it to move with the hip. So we're going to set up space switching for this. And again, just as we did with the eyes and with the wrist control, we're going to set up a bunch of parents. So we can create a null and call that left leg twist follows ankle, and then Alt click and drag to duplicate that. So left leg twist follows hip. And again for world. So all three of these, which are currently just nulls at the origin, we're going to make those children of the twist control. And then we're going to turn off the selectability and display. And again, for all three of these, I'm going to turn on keep position when parenting. Now I'm going to break these connections. So the left leg twist follows ankle should be a child of the IK control. Left leg twist follows hip is going to be a child of the left leg root. And then the twist follows world is going to be a child of the master. Let's arrange these a little bit better. And then we'll select these nodes and use our lock all script. So we're ready to set up the parenting for our twist space switching. But before we do that, let's attach the left leg root into the rest of the hierarchy. So I'm going to go back to my parameters and into my spine. And we want the leg hierarchy to move with the hip. So I'm going to do a parent blend from the leg root to the hip control. So we'll go to constraints, do a parent blend, simple, full transform, keep position. So the leg root, and now we want to target, new parent, and that's going to be the hip IK, accept selection, drops us into that network. Select our hip. You can see that our leg is moving along with it. The IK is active. So now, when we create the space switching for the twist, we can attach it to the ankle or to the hip or to the world, and that will function correctly. So let's do that. We're going to use our left leg twist auto as the thing to constrain. So we'll go into parent blend, again, simple, full transform, keep position. So we want to select our auto, and then we want to select world, then hip, then ankle, accept that selection. It drops us into that left leg twist auto constraint network. You can see that we have our original parent space, then we have our world space, hip space, and ankle space. So just as we did before, we're going to take this blend parents, and this first one, its original parent space, we're going to blend that to 0. And then we're going to use that same expression that we used on our wrists and eyes. So I can go and steal that, save this a bit of typing. And where is that? There it is. So I've gone into the left arm bone twist auto to this blend. I can just copy and then paste it into this guy here. So again, the if expression is saying if the value of this parameter is 0, then this blend parameter should be 1, otherwise 0. And the parameter we want to compare to isn't going to be left arm twist. It's going to be left leg. And this parameter currently doesn't exist, but we're going to create it in just a second. So our world is going to be 0. Our hip is going to be compared to 1. And our ankle is going to be 2. So that's the order that the menu is going to have: world, hip, ankle, with world as the default. And you can see that currently this blend is showing a warning. And if we middle click, you can see it says bad parameter reference. It's just telling us that this parameter doesn't exist, but it's fine because we're going to create it right now. So we go into our type properties, and we're going to go to that same left arm twist space. I'm going to select that guy. We can copy it, come down to our left leg, and inside our left leg, we can paste. So we have twist space. We want to change this to left leg. And then for our menu, we have world and hip. Instead of wrist, we want ankle. So that matches world, hip, and ankle. You can see we still have a warning here, but when we hit apply, you can see that all of this updated. So this blend found this parameter, and now this is working. And hit accept. Go back up to the object level. So now, with our left leg twist space set to world, that means that this twist object will stay where it is when we're manipulating the ankle or the hip. But when we move the world, it will move with that control. I put the left leg IK blend up here, but it should go up on this left leg. So I'm going to quickly fix that right now. So I'm going to take that, just drop it into the left leg, and then move it up above the twist. So I can hit accept, and there we go. So now if I change this to hip, you can see that it still doesn't move with the ankle. It will move with the world because the hip is a child of the world. So that still works. But now, if I move the hip, you can see that I'm moving this left leg twist. And now if I go to the ankle and I move the IK, that twist will move with the ankle. So this can be helpful in some situations. And as I say, animators have a general preferences for these things, but this will at least give them the option to have this twist control for the leg to be in the space that they prefer. So we'll put that back to world. So we're nearly done with our leg. The only thing remaining is to set up the display switching between our IK and FK. Because currently we're in IK and we can see our IK controls, but we can also see our FK controls. And when we go down to an IK blend of 0, so FK is on, we can still see both sets of controls. So we want to steal that same thing that we did for the arm controls. So we had this expression. I'm going to copy that. And let's see. For our FK controls, we'll select both of these. Go to the Render tab, turn on the display, paste that in. And then while I'm still inside this field, I can say Alt-E. That'll be the expression editor. Just paste that in again. So what do we want to do here? We have if left arm C display, so control display is 1, and left arm IK FK blend is less than or equal to 5, this should be 1, otherwise 0. So we have these same parameters, but we know that they're called leg. So we can just change that to left leg C display and left leg IK FK blend. So let's copy that, apply, and accept. So you can see that these two controls have disappeared because left leg FK-IK blend is 1. It's greater than 5, or 0.5. But if I blend this down, you'll see them turn back on again. So that's exactly what we want. And now we want to do the same for the twist and for the ankle control. You can select both of them, go into their Render tab, turn on the display, paste that in. So left leg control display is 1 and left leg IK FK blend is less than or equal to 0.5. So now we want that to be greater than. Apply and accept. And now with left leg FK-IK blend at 1, the IK controls are on. If we blend this down, you can see at 0.5, they pop off and the FK controls pop on. And as I said before, this is pretty arbitrary, just 0.5. You can have that as some different number. You can do whatever you want in that expression. But it does clean things up a little bit rather than have all these controls on at the same time. So next, let's just quickly make sure that the things that are being displayed and that are selectable are the right things. So this root, we want to turn off selectability and display. This leg bone, turn off the selectability of that. I'm going to turn off the display and selectability of these twist bones. Turn off the selectability of that leg bone. And then we're going to want to hook up our display options for our bones. So we bring our parameters back. So we have bone display. So let's select these two bones. Render tab, turn on the display option. Drag that bone display. So now they're off by default, but we can turn them back on. And let's see what our control displays. Control displays are good. Just did them. And make sure that our proxy display, select all those proxies and bring our, actually we can steal that same script again from the arm. Select all of our leg proxies, render tab, paste that in, change this to leg, because again, we want the proxy display to be on only when geo display is set to proxy. So we want them off when it's off and off when it's on deform. We can test that. So that turns off, proxy is on, deform is off. And now the last thing we need to do is, when we're in FK, we want to drive the twist with these controls, but we want to use our ankle control from our foot to drive the twist of the lower leg proxies. So we'll do that in the next video when we do the left foot. So the parameters that we want to promote are the translation and rotation of our ankle control, promote the FK controls, and the twist control. So let's do that. Bring up our type properties. So from our left leg, we want to grab, so our left leg IK, we want the, I'm going to call this left leg trans, and unlock that rotation. And usually you wouldn't have a rotation on an IK control, but we're going to use this to also drive the rotation of the foot once we've built it. So bring up rotation, copy that, call that rotation. So we have left leg translation, left leg rotation. Now we want the twist control, left leg twist, trans, and go back to FK. Now we have left leg bone 1 control, rotation. And left leg bone 2. So we hit accept. So we have display of our geo, of our bones, and of our controls. We have a left leg FK-IK blend. We have the twist space control. We have the left leg, I should change these to IK. So that should be IK translate and IK rotate. So we have left leg IK translate, left leg IK rotate for this guy right here. Then we have our twist control. And if we go into FK, upper leg rotation, lower leg rotation. Yeah, I think we've got everything. So in our next part, we'll build the foot with a reverse foot setup, and then that'll be that.